This is Duke University.
Marsha Connor, you want to come down here and impart your wisdom on what you double-looped on this day, apart from the fact that we're going to rebrand Marsha University, Marsha University?
No, we're not. The hard part for me is sitting in a meeting periodically at Marsha University, and someone will say it, and I look up thinking that my mother called me Marsha as a kid. And
I see.
It's hard at times to work in organizations like this. Jeff is heading out, so goodbye, and
Jeff,
thank you very, very much.
So, double loop for me.
I was going to sing the loop first, if that's okay.
Sure.
You're like, what are you people talking about, right? One thing that neither of them pointed out that in working with both organizations I found to be true and also extraordinary is that on the first time of meeting with both Marsh and the Wire team, that they asked a tremendous number of questions about how things worked with other organizations, how they might want to do things a little differently. And that happens in most every organization I work with, so that happens a lot, of asking lots of questions. What's different is that the next time I spoke with them, they had actually instituted every single one of the recommendations or changes or ideas. That never happens. You could go down the list. And the idea of asking questions and not actually taking the answers seriously is something that I find happens in organizations over and over again. Why are we asking these questions? Why are we creating cultures where social business is important if we're not actually listening to the questions we're asking? If we're not, in fact, putting those to use to improve our businesses? So it's one thing to be thinking about becoming a social business. It's another thing to change our practices, to actually be asking how can we take them in, not be just regenerating our same old bad habits, but actually taking what we're learning from our colleagues, from the people that we're bringing in from outside and inside our organizations and putting them to use. So that's a little bit of my challenge for the people here today, the people who've been watching online, is what have you learned? What are you going to take action on? What are you going to put into practice? What are you going to actually use as creative abrasion to think seriously about doing something different? Because frankly, the talk doesn't really matter. It can be a little bit of a fun thing to be doing, but it gets old after a while, and we need to be making change.
So we did the talking stuff here, but where the rubber really hits the road is the doing stuff, right?
It's the doing stuff. Isn't that easy, just wrapped up? It's the doing stuff, everyone.
So I have to do this. So similar to your turning your mom into the iPhone emoticon scary person who never touched technology before, my mom's become a crazy Facebook person, is putting all kinds of pictures of me when I was young in goofy looking clothes. You know this, right? So this is how I get her back. What you just articulated is my mother's problem, and she's watching. So here's my mom. Mom, you're gonna love this. These things will kill me. These things will kill me. Knowing doesn't necessarily equate with doing, and the knowing-doing gap is probably the largest chasm that exists, and the one that we really have a hard time with when we start to think about what your book's about, which is social learning, which Marsha defined very early on. And bridging that gap, to my way of thinking, isn't about shouting louder, but it's about bringing people in and building the bridge. And to me, that bridge is about people, bringing more humanity into the space, and making it mind-numbingly simple on the front end through a lot of really complex stuff on the back end, so that there's no overhead to engagement and you can contribute. Flip the equation from what will you teach today to the role of professor. Flip the equation from what am I doing to help. I'm clueless. I'm going to Boise tomorrow. Help me out. And then find the small tweaks. I think it's the trim tab on the super tanker. It's those small little tweaks we talked about today that were the ones that I think it might be the most profound in the long run. And in the kind of capstone stories we heard, it was a series of small wins. This was not a big bet and we need a $5 gazillion infrastructure play. This is get people to help each other, demonstrate how it adds value, model the behavior, build a bridge step by step, and all of a sudden you've arrived. You're there.
And the biggest to-do that I found in working with organizations is that we can't motivate people. That's one of those phrases that always just bothers me. We can't motivate people to participate with one another. People are naturally inclined to participate and to work with each other. We've just put so many obstacles in their path to want to do that, to be able to do that, that where you can make those incremental small steps and small changes that make a huge difference is systematically removing the obstacles in their path to being human at work.
So don't think about jacking up their motivation, think about removing the obstacles. Because motivation ships with the freight.
And people come all of a sudden thinking, finally? I've been working for 50 years and finally somebody is asking me to participate? And you would think, because we ask those questions of organization after organization, we go through the organization and we talk with the people who are the most resistant. And we say, why are you so resistant? Oh, I'm not resistant. I don't have a way to do this. I don't know how to do it. I have all these obstacles in my path. Well, if we remove these obstacles, are you interested? Oh. After all this time, I don't want to retire until I finally can get, as actually was a specific case at Marsh. Somebody said, I have this drawer full of things I've been wanting to publish. You finally are giving me an opportunity, a means to do that. I'm going to get that out into the world. They've been waiting to do that, and now they can, in a way that the organization is supportive, and their people around them are thrilled to get that information, not just out of their heads, out of their desk drawers, and into the stream. But it hasn't been possible in the past, and now it is. Let's do it.
And you've grabbed another one, into the stream. This notion of stream, work stream, activity stream, whatever we want to call it. If there's another key theme that came out, and it goes back to performance consulting days, way back in the day, but if it ain't in the workflow, you can't have it as an overlay. It needs to be baked in. It's got to be rolled into the DNA, which requires what? That you understand what that flow is, and how do you do that? Unfortunately, it's not just by asking people, you have to observe them. You have to be empathic in observation. This is one of the things that the Apple people really understand. If you just ask folks what they think they want, it's like Henry Ford. They'd want faster horses, not a car. So there's this empathic understanding of what the work context requires, and then there's the leap of how can we wrap the social and technical and so on and so forth, along with policy, governance, and behavior in there. It's not it may have sounded very complex today, but all I'm saying is that doesn't mean you should run away saying, I'll never do that. I can't be like, Sheila. There's so many opportunities to make a huge difference right now. And you have no excuse after today to not do it.
The CIA can do it. Come on. That's what he said, right?
That's right.
One of the other pieces that I heard coming through was really this no excuses sort of thing. And I find with so many people and organizations I work with that they find that they will say consistently, when am I going to do this? And I think that in the workflow answer is the when. I'm not encouraging anyone to make this additive. One more thing. Does anybody have any free time? You can't add this to your already full day. You need to be figuring out what in your full day could be done far more effectively if you could absolutely tap into the brain share of the people that you work with. And all of a sudden, if you could just identify even one thing you do a day that could be done in a different way because you could capture that which are the people that we work with, all of a sudden you had that freed up, and then you can free up other time. This should be giving us our time back.
Right.
And that is a theme that we need to, I keep saying over and over and over again, and I help organizations identify where are those time pockets that we can get back by working with one another, something that just hasn't been done in business before.
So we're better together?
We're better together.
We're better together.
We've been doing this for a long time.
We have. Any parting comments?
No, thank you for the day. So glad people are here. I'm so glad we've had quite a showing online, and I'm looking forward to watching it again.
Yeah,
it's in the little pieces that I miss, which is great.
It'll be up on the website. I've got to talk to Matthew, but we do some editing and put some content on the front and the back, but it will be up on the CTEM website within, well, I don't want to commit, but it will be up soon, okay? Soon. This would not have been possible without Cisco support. It would not have been possible without Marcia. Well, I called Marcia up and I said, you wrote the book. Let's do something here. And she jumped in with both feet and really helped out with bringing people in. You wouldn't probably come unless it's a weak ties thing. So thank you all very much for being here. Thank you all for being here. Go get social. Thank you very much.
Produced by Duke University. Online at duke.edu.